Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. What up, y'all? It's Friday. We here. Tone Talks is in the building. I appreciate everybody taking a Friday to have this discussion. It's a heavy one. NBA season started. Y'all seen Brian ball out? NFL season mid-season. Trying to beat up a little bit. We mid-season in the NFL. Y'all watching Zeke run up and down that field? They still ain't gonna let that boy Cap play. I don't care no more. Cap done sold out. So we having the discussion today. I told y'all we gonna have it on my Facebook. For those people that ain't on my Facebook, let me tell you what it's gonna be about. Does the NBA and NFL, and I'm gonna throw rap in there too, cover up black male failure? Come on. You got the TNT thing with Charles Barkley acting the buffoon. Some of it's funny. You got the Decadent veil with Shaq, and he willing to do any commercial. He willing to save your house. He'll run out in front of your house. You got him with the soap and the gold bond. You got him with the general insurance. Come on, man. I'm just saying though, it's time to have a discussion. Does the NBA and NFL work as a cover so we don't got to deal with the fact that, you know, more black males are incarcerated than all women globally? Let me say that again. More black males are incarcerated than all women globally. I'm gonna give y'all that data. So I don't got here, you know, where'd you get that from? 4 billion women, 19 million with an M black males that descend from American slavery. And it's more black men incarcerated than all women globally. But we can't feel it because of the NBA, NFL, and Jay-Z. We're going to talk about it today. Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. You know we bringing that real. It's Friday night. We doing Tone Talks at night. So, you know, another article we're going to talk about is the jobless rate for black males is a national disgrace. I'm going to go over that with y'all in a second. But this is a time right here. I think personally that the NBA, NFL, and hip hop might be the greatest propaganda tool in modern history because of the amount of distribution they have. They take about 1,000 people, and they able to cover up the struggles of about like 12 million. And those 12 million descend from American chattel slavery. So we don't got to deal with the reality of what that means and why this group is set up to fail. We having that discussion today. Dash Radio, Dash Talk X, 323-230-4610. I expect y'all to join the discussion. This is our show. We're going to have it. So number one, the question is, does the NBA and NFL cover up black male failure? Number two, you know, are black males collapsed if 1 in 5 didn't work at all in 2016? And they're more incarcerated than all women globally? Number three, what happened to the energy behind Kaepernick and kneeling with the NFL and police brutality? So, you know, Kaepernick did the whole raceless ad with Nike. We talked about it, but we're going to touch it again. Kaepernick sold out, y'all. He over there trying to trademark the afro. What? I ain't gonna say nothing. Let's get back around to that. You got Reed. He's still kneeling in Carolina, but don't nobody care no more. I guess we talking about the Hondurans that are coming across as a caravan. I don't know what we talking about, but Reed's still kneeling. Everybody, for everybody that don't know, he got re-signed with the Carolina Panthers, and they making sure that we don't know that he's still kneeling. Number four. Is the NFL and NBA the greatest propaganda tool to cover up collapse? Talking about black male collapse in modern history. That's the question. You know, the article came out with the AEI. I ain't talked about it. 2.5 million black males in the upper class. The upper class. I'm gonna tell y'all what upper class is. Stay tuned. You got everybody running around with the NBA cares and all that, doing new courts. You know, they love to do new basketball courts to make more basketball players. But we need community members. We don't need nobody else to know how to two-step. We need people to know how to vote. We need people to know how to do brick and mortar. But that's all right, though. We gonna talk about it. And number 5, does it matter if the team owners, come on, we gonna talk about this shit tonight. I'm sorry. Does it matter if the team owners all donate in mass to Republicans? The NFL donating to Republicans 40-1 compared to Democrats. And the NBA ain't too far behind. They donating to the Republicans 6-1. But y'all love them though. Y'all can keep loving them while they donate to all the Republicans that want to just take away your food stamps and your college preparatory programs and everything else. Y'all better wake up. Y'all asked me for a solution. Maybe we need to turn this all off. So this is Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. We getting into the discussion now, and 323-230-4610. Again, 323-230-4610 if you want to join the discussion. We in the box on YouTube. We're in the chat. Use the super chat. Please support this channel. That's how I bring you this channel. And join the discussion, the dialogue. That's how we build. That's part of the solution, that you need to educate yourself and find out what other people are talking about in the Tone Talks community. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight because I know it's a Friday. Nobody want to hear about black male failure. Not until their cousin called and he's stuck in jail or something. Other than that, we want to go to the movies tonight. I know, but I'm going to bring that real so we can have that discussion. So the question is, does the NBA, NFL cover up black male failure? I started off with the decadent veil. I believe personally that there's a veil of decadence, a very thin one, of basketball players, NBA stars, NFL stars that are used as a propaganda tool so black America can't see itself. Multiplied many times over by Yahoo.com and NFL and NBA.com and NFL.com. And we all love it, despite none of it reflecting the reality of our own lives. We got to be honest about what it means. Again, I start off with an article that came out this week. It said the U.S. is basically an oligarchy. I want you guys to go look up oligarchy. It's not a democracy. It is an oligarchy, meaning the rich control everything. Sharing a little bit, the U.S. is dominated by a rich and powerful elite. So concludes a recent study by Princeton University of Professor Martin Gillens and Northwestern University Professor Benjamin I. Page. In English, the wealthy few move policy while the average American has little power. Americans, this is me skipping down a little bit more. Americans do enjoy many features central to democratic governance, such as regular elections, freedom of speech and association, and a widespread franchise. But we believe that if policymaking is dominated by powerful business organizations and a small number of affluent Americans, then Americans' claims to being a democratic society are seriously threatened. We're an oligarchy. Citizens United made sure of that. The election of Trump, passing of tax reform, made sure of that. Do we understand what that means for black folk? Do we understand what that means for poor folk? So we look at this thing and let's spell it out for what it is today. Not what we want it to be, what it is today. Today, the prison study, you can go to prisonstudies.org, the Institute for Criminal Policy Research, World Prison Brief. It says more than 714,000 women and girls are in prison around the world. This is a new report published by the Institute for Criminal Policy Research. So if that many women are incarcerated, how many black men are incarcerated? Around 750,000. I'll get into it in a second. Let's take the first caller tonight. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Calling from Chicago, Tone. This was me from last week about I think with the yin and the yang, with the black and the white.
Yeah, hold on one second, sir. Let me finish up with this point. So,
Okay.
So essentially, looking at this in context of black male failure here in America, the census estimates that approximately 18 million people in the U.S. population are black males. This is of all ages. The Bureau of Justice Statistics National Prisoner Statistics Program reports that in that same year, 526,000 were in state or federal prison, and as of mid-year 2013, 219,000 were in jails, making for a total of about 745,000 behind bars. Now that's dropped somewhat because they put them on anklets, but it's still 680, 690,000, and the women have dropped as well below that number. But what we know is that out of 4 billion women, there are less incarcerated than just black males. And we have to understand what that means for black life, black communities, and for black males themselves. Caller, what you want to say on that?
Well, with that, you got to think too. If we come from cattle slaves, they shifting where we going. And what I want to talk about was the NFL and the NBA. I don't think it's trying to cover up black failure. I think it's like the new or the old crack epidemic or like a day labor where that's the quickest way to get money.
I disagree.
I know somebody who kids.
Caller, I disagree. I'm sorry for cutting you off. What I'm saying to you is right now, the issue that we have is how many times it's multiplied, how many times it's distributed, what it means to tell people where the middle black family is worth $1,700 and then show them an agenda, a way supposedly out where they can make millions of dollars. I did an article for Vice magazine called Football's War on the Minds of Black Men. In it, I detail how this is a war on your actual mind of what your goals are in life. So your goal becomes to be a sports athlete, not to be a part of a community. I'll let you finish your point.
Yeah, but I totally agree with you. And I've been talking to people about the job about this. It's a propaganda war that's going on right now that a lot of people don't see because they don't want to see it and they don't think because then they say like, oh, you were always talking about the white man, this, and I'm like, you don't see it because one, you talk to a lot of people and with their LLC, either they got a barber shop or a hair salon or trying to open up a daycare. They're not working with these people that go back to their neighborhood and talk shit about you. You think they're a friend because you at the job. But just to get back to the NFL and the NBA, I think it's just the easiest way out. That's all I'm saying. I think a lot of people see it's the easiest way out, and it's not for us.
Yeah, caller. I appreciate you calling in. I'm gonna take that to head, and I'm gonna talk about that in a second. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So the concept of out is the problem. Everybody else ain't trying to get out of their community. They want a functional community. They don't want to run to somewhere else. They want where they're at fixed. The thing that happens is we create a false world where there is an out. You can't run from this blackness. And so I come to it and I say, when we talk about out, are we ready to deal with the reality of what it means that a place like Mississippi has a warden, a private prison warden, that said they didn't send me my prisoners? And who he's talking about? How they didn't send you your prisoners? Meaning he literally is saying that they promised me prisoners when I built this prison and they're not sending them to me. We look over at this article from Real Policy. It's a real clear policy. I want to share a little bit of it. The jobless rate for young black men is a national disgrace. In the article, what was detailed is the kind of unemployment that we see with African-American males. We already know from the CNN article that 1 in, I think, 5 black men didn't even work in 2016. This isn't because they didn't go out and try to get jobs. This is social collapse. But everybody can't really see it because the NBA exists. There is no black female version of this. I mean, we have the WNBA, but them girls is making $67,000 a year. So that doesn't really move the needle. You can say, well, we got tennis. There's only one Serena Williams. There's Venus and Serena. That's it. And they don't get contrasted. They don't get contrasted in this way. In addition, when we look at incarceration, there's 10 times more black men incarcerated, despite us having the same numbers in the population. We both got about 19 million people. There's only 60 or 70,000 African-American women incarcerated, and there's over 700,000 black males incarcerated. This is not about an oppression Olympics. This is about understanding that's structural. All of us do crimes, Asians, blacks, whites, men, women. But who's going to go to jail for those crimes? I was talking to an officer recently, and I asked him, and I said, why is more women in jail than more men in jail than women? He said, it's hard to arrest a woman. He said, when you arrest a woman, you got to do about 10 questions like it's a juvenile. If she even shows signs of being sick, they said, let her go, let her out. They don't even want to deal with it. That's not how crime works or justice works. Now, this is the problem I see, is that we don't understand these things. We just make it all up. We just talking from some fictitious world. Each of us work in the office and just make it all up. So I come to this article, The Jobless Rate for Young Black Men is a National Disgrace. In it, what the author says is the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey gathered data on the jobless rate of non-institutionalized men, 20 to 34 years old, averaged over the period of 2010 to 2014 for 34 major cities. The data paints a grim picture for black men, particularly in Midwestern, industrial, and mid-Atlantic cities like Milwaukee, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and D.C. All had jobless black rates above 45%. In these cities, more young black men were either jobless or imprisoned than employed. Black joblessness in southern and western cities was modestly lower, as low as 31.7% and 23.3%, respectively, in Dallas and Seattle. As a result, the national jobless rate for young black men was 39%. 39%. That's social collapse. So we got this huge incarceration. I mean, like we've never seen in any society. We got this jobless rate, and they're not going to inherit any money. But we don't know. Our whole identity comes off of Jay-Z, Puff Daddy, LeBron James, and Ezekiel Elliott or Colin Kaepernick. None of it makes any sense. Again, Dash Radio, Dash Talk X, 323-230-4610. You can call in when you want to. We're going to have this show. Does the NBA and NFL, along with rap, cover up black male failure, particularly black families' failures? I mean, we see the Instagrams. We got to see their families in these big houses. Do you know how hard it is to get agenda and policy items passed when white folks think that black folks already got money? Not first they say, you guys already got money, you got more than us, which is a bold-faced lie. We know that the middle black family's worth $1,700 without depreciating assets, whereas the middle white family's worth like $110. Then in addition, they say, why can't Oprah give you some money? As if Oprah really got enough money to give black folks money. This is the discussion that needs to happen. I don't think everybody understands the context of coming from chattel slavery, moving into Jim Crow, and then coming into mass incarceration. Because everybody has been propagandized by a movement from the Cosby Show to Michael Jackson to Jay-Z to the NBA, and like none of it makes any sense. Now, I'm going to get into where the owners come from and what they donate into, because y'all supporting some really, really interesting people when y'all buy them jerseys. But I ain't going to say nothing. Oh, no, I'm going to say a lot. So let's talk about it. You know, we look at this thing and we look at this collapse of black men, and we start to say, well, then, you know, what's some of the answers? Well, didn't we have a big thing with Black Lives Matter? What happened to them? Well, the cover of it was black men and black men being shot down. You know, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile. The cover was Eric Garner. But the inside was intersectionality and like trans rights and gender rights and all kind of stuff. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Turn your background down a little bit.
My bad. My name is Mike. I'm from Brooklyn.
Thank you so much for calling, Mike from Brooklyn. What's your take on this?
My take on it has been that sports has always been a form of bread and circus.
Explain bread and circus for everybody.
So basically that means that it's just a distraction for the populace, so people won't notice how terrible their lives really are. So they focus on these athletes or these entertainers to distract them from the fact that their wealth is being stolen from them. So I don't think it's a good idea to look at these people as role models or anything else. It's just a distraction. Your rights are probably being taken away from you elsewhere. You know what I mean? If you're looking at athletes, so
I man. I'm with you.
That a couple dozen people can actually hide the failure of millions of people. That's my personal opinion.
Well, technology allows for this to be done at a level that we've never seen before. And even during the gladiator times, you had to go to the stadium. They didn't, I mean, don't get me wrong. They could say that it's happening at the stadium. You heard the screams, but now they can project it right into homes, right into your mind.
That's true.
And you got the iPhones, so you walk around and you get it projected. I don't think everybody understands that they got to keep this thing going. They come out with articles like the AEI article that came out. 2.5 million black males are upper class. You can walk with me on this. Understand this.
Oh yeah.
All I do is straight up tell y'all the data. I don't play around with like figurative upper class, middle class. Let's talk numbers in America. And so you got the article. Let's first deal with who comes out with the article. I already covered this. They already released the study in July. But then they do a new little article in LinkedIn and y'all start sharing it in October because you need it to exist. But hold on, let's talk numbers. In America, roughly, put you in the upper class, I'm going to say top 15%. And that's being generous. I really think it's more like top 10, top 8. But 15% of families, not even individual families. That means that you need to be worth $800,000 net. $800,000. So what they're telling you is out of 19 million black males, understanding the incarceration rate and the unemployment rates that I just gave you, out of 19 million black males that receive no inheritance and come from chattel slavery, out of 19 million black males, 2.5 million of them are worth more than 800,000.
That's impossible. There's no way that stat could exist.
The study is about boomers. The article's cover is young 25, 23-year-old black men. I don't know if we understand the craze of this. See, and what I'm saying to you is that this study is just like the NBA. It's just like the NFL. Same people behind it. This is hard to swallow. What if the NBA and NFL are just a version of this study or this article? We need it to exist. We go there, we put on these colors, and we dance around with white folks while our communities are in fire. What if that's the truth? And I'm not saying it's not what if, that's what's going on. And so we come back to my point, and I'm saying we got a study by the conservative think tank. The conservative think tank is pushing out propaganda that 2.5 million black men are upper class. They don't tell you what upper class is. And they don't tell you that they're talking about boomers. But then in addition, they don't tell you that there aren't 2.5 million black men, regardless of age, that are upper class. They're using income. We know by the BLS data, only few percent of black people, even black families, even break $100,000. This is the craze of it all. You know what I'm saying? What's your thoughts on it, caller?
Yeah, I think you always have to look at the authors and what agenda they have. Like I'm a financial advisor in New York City, and whenever someone releases reports, someone will say the market's going to collapse, but they have an agenda because maybe they're bears. They shorted the market. They'll make money if you believe that the market will collapse and you trade accordingly. So everyone has an agenda, no matter what they're saying. If someone says, the sky is blue, the roses are red, they have an agenda. They want you to buy into the market. They'll make more money when you buy into it. So you always have to look at the messenger and what his intent is and what his agenda is, and then you try to decide whether that point is valid for you. That's how I look at everything. Everyone lies a little bit. Everyone engages in propaganda. Take information from everybody and then make an assessment based on all of the information, all of the data. That's what I think.
And I'm going to keep you with me for a second, if that's okay, caller, because I appreciate you and the education that you've given to people. I did a study with Sandy Darity. I bring it up sometimes. I think it's relevant right now. What we get wrong about closing the racial wealth gap. That was published by Duke University, Ivy League Duke University. It was done with Sandy Darity, Dark Hamilton, some of the best intergenerational economists in the whole nation. And so what's interesting is I was tasked with one of the sections, myth 9. The growing number of black celebrities prove the racial wealth gap is closing. I want to read a small section of that to you guys, and I want to get your opinion, caller, because this fits right into the narrative. Going as far back as the early days of Motown, black celebrity has played a prominent role in the American consciousness. But starting during the early 80s, the image of the position of overall black wealth came to be projected through the lives of a small set of famous black Americans. Unfortunately, from The Cosby Show to Michael Jackson's multi-platinum albums to Will Smith's meteoric rise to the present-day mega couple, Jay-Z and Beyonce, black celebrity has masked black poverty rather than contributing to closing the racial wealth gap. No ethnic or racial group, not Asians, not Latinos, and not whites, has been framed so dramatically through celebrity, such as black Americans. Despite recently released 2016 Federal Reserve data showing that the median black family has a net worth of about $17,000, now without depreciating assets, which means the car and clothes, that comes all the way down to like $1,700. while the median white family has a net worth closer to 170,000. When you take out depreciating assets for them, it comes down to like 115, 110. Black life has come to be seen through the lens of radically exceptional cases rather than typical ones. What's your thoughts on that?
I just think that it's just unfortunate. People will base their own personal lives on what they see on TV, what they see on magazines, not realizing that, especially with those Republican tax cuts, they're going to feel the effects of it. Actually, when they file for taxes this April 15th, certain deductions are gone. Like, for example, I have a house in New York, and now we can't deduct all the mortgage interest. The mortgage interest deduction we used to have. It used to be $20,000. They cut it in half. They took out certain itemized deductions you can take. I got like 2 boys. One is 5, one is 3, and it's very expensive to raise kids in New York. And, I have family. I try to make them listen to you, Yvette Carnell. We enjoy listening to Alexander Hamilton, but certain members of my family, they don't want to deal with the data. And like you always say, if you don't deal with the data is going to deal with you. And it's going to be a point where, like you said, wealth is supposed to transfer downwards, but at the same time, there's certain family members you may have to take care of, but you have to create those boundaries. So it's unfortunate, but I think the pain is coming in the future, and people...
It's here down for a lot of people. They picking up scooters, and they running around here doing Uber. Let me ask you a last question before I let you go. Are black males collapsed economically?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we catching hell everywhere. I can tell you this. I'm in corporate America, and it's bad for us everywhere. I have friends that have regular retail jobs. I work for a Fortune 500 company, and it's terrible everywhere. I mean, we get locked out of opportunities. We get sabotaged. We don't get promotions when we're supposed to get them. And we don't have that sense of stability. I have other friends. I went to a tier 1 school, not quite Ivy League, but my other friends, smooth sailing for them. Their careers, they had their...
You talking about white friends right now. Let's be clear.
Oh, yeah.
You talking about white friends right now. You're talking about Billy.
Yeah. But me, this setback, and this. So, and I have obligations I have to my family. So I've always kept my head above water. But if I didn't have those setbacks, things would be much different. So I think it's even worse for other people. If you don't have like a state or a union job, then you might be headed for some trouble. And at the same time, when Republicans ever talk about smaller government, the government is the largest employer of, NBA DOS people. So when they talk about smaller government, even those jobs, I think, are going to start to go down. And then we're really going to see pain in our communities.
Let's be clear. Number one, when you say you're talking about American descendants of slavery, number one employer of black people is the post office. We've been relying on government because private sector has never treated us well. If you want to work for a private sector, you probably got to go to prison. They'll put you right to work for $2 an hour. Caller, thank you so much for calling in and giving me your time on this Friday. I hope you and your family have a wonderful evening.
Same to you. Bye.
So, man, that caller was great. Dash Radio, Dash Talk X, if you want to say your piece on this, 323-230-4610. But we was talking about it. What happened to the energy behind Kaepernick? The kneeling with the NFL and police brutality. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Marlon. I'm from Oceanside, California.
Oceanside. We back here in Cali. You know what I'm saying? We went to Brooklyn. Now we in Cali. So look, I'm doing this question. What happened to the energy behind Cap? Cap done trademarked the afro. It's craziness. Cap done did the commercial with the dude that got one hand and a paraplegic and all kind of stuff with Nike. Didn't talk about race at all. He had a brown jacket on. It was like a Carmel Black Panther. And so what I'm talking to you about is what happened? Is it like everybody just talk about it for like that year, last year? That was the year? What do you think?
Well, I kind of think about it as like the 1960s when we had the athletes do their thing with Martin Luther King and all that stuff like that. And then when they got, I guess, to a certain spot where they can go places, they just forgot about everything. I would assume it's like the same playbook. They think they got something, and they forget about the rest of us.
So Eric Reed's still kneeling. He signed with Carolina finally. They gave him $1 million. I think part of it was they weren't trying to squish that lawsuit that Cap got. but they gave him $1 million. But he's still on the knee, but don't nobody care no more. Anything you want to say on this point? I'm going to give everybody a chance to get in here.
Well, the only point I can make is that it's with the emphasis that we have. We have no media, like you said before, so we can't emphasize anything. Everything is like hyper media. So if they don't want to put it because we don't own any media, we can't say to them like, hey, this is what's still going on.
Come on. We got Dash Radio. We got Dash Radio. We got Tone Talks. We're going to spread this thing out. We're going to make this conversation happen. Caller, thank you so much for calling in. We're going to keep this discussion going.
You're right.
Thank you. Thank you. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This whole thing started because this confuses black folks because I don't think we're in our right mind to begin with. We think that there is a version of justice that looks where everything, all the pieces are the same. There's just more of us in these places, and it don't work that way. It just does not work that way. What people don't understand is, what we don't understand is that the things that have won for white folks, that is a completely different system. The system that we have been given is basically a lottery system, and a lottery system in the area of entertainment. With sports, it's still entertainment. I talk to people all the time. They're like, well, no, sports, it's entertainment. Because what do you think people are doing when they're watching it? They're sitting there being entertained.
So now let me ask you this question. Let me ask you.
Yes,
you done took me there. Does it matter if the team owners of these NBA and NFL teams, nobody talk about it, but we're going to talk about it tonight on Tone Talks. I'm tired of everybody acting like this don't matter. The NBA and the NFL are not like one. It's kind of how we look at Africa, like a country. No, Africa's a continent, and they got a bunch of countries and a bunch of tribes. That's the way we view the NBA and NFL. These are a bunch of companies, separate companies. I mean, very separate companies. They got a definitely like a charter and a plan that they got to follow. But these are all separate companies with vicious little owners. And what I'm saying to you is, there's this whole thing that doesn't matter if the NBA and NFL owners, all of them, donate en masse to Republicans. So NFL donates to Republicans 40-1, 40 times as much to Republicans compared to Democrats, and really it's like nothing to Democrats when I read the numbers in a second. The NBA is 6-1, and so you have all these black players running around to help these owners make money and donate to Republicans against the interests of the communities. We saw that with Jay-Z with the Brooklyn Nets. We see that in Detroit. We see that in Cleveland. We see that. Let me read an article. I don't like talking without specifics. Sports team owners make huge political donations. Where does their money go? The Guardian. In the article, it says nearly all, and I'm going to read this to you, and I'm going to come right to you with your opinion.
Okay.
Nearly all of the owners of Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, and NHL franchises were active political donors during this election cycle, contributing more than $26.6 million to various political campaigns and political action committees. A total of $23.4 million was designated for candidates of Republicans, while only $2.7 million was contributed to Democrats. Overall, NFL owners were the most prolific givers, making $8.5 million in contributions. They were also the most conservative, with $8 million of that 8.5 going to Republicans, and compared to 189,000 to the Democrats, a ratio that favors the GOP more than 40-1. Football's most generous donor was Houston Texans majority owner Bob McNair, who made 61 donations amounting to more than $7 million to conservative groups and campaigns. So we continue on and we see the NBA's owners prove the most liberal of the four, with $1 million of the total $6.1 million given to Democrats. They wrote that backwards. They didn't want to say that the NBA gives almost all their money to Republicans as well. One glaring exception is to basketball's relative Democrat leanings. I don't see how this is a Democrat leaning when almost all your money still goes to Republicans. Is the Orlando Magic owner Richard DeVos, whose $2.6 million in contributions almost all went to Republicans. And you might remember DeVos' name from Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos.
Yep.
somebody who's gonna take your kid's school and make it charter. So here we go. What's your opinion on this? And should we be following it? If it's a cover-up and it's a propaganda tool, just like the AEI study.
It is a propaganda tool, and we need to be paying attention to it. Unfortunately, the foundation for our thinking is not there. It really isn't there. It's glaring when you said the 40-1 with the NFL to the GOP. This is what I say to folks, especially when it's black conservatives. The question is, what is it that you're actually conserving? Because if you're talking about conserving something and that doesn't have you in it, then it ain't for you. And I think with the NBA thing, here's my thing with the NBA thing and how those ratios aren't as skewed. And this is, I'll just put it to you in this context. The right wing and the left wing belong to the same bird. It's all white supremacy to me.
But hold on for a second. I know we as black people love to say that until you get down on the local level and you realize one person's talking about giving some food to black folks and another one's talking about find your own food. I get what everybody says until it's your sister or your brother that needs a program. Right now, we got to be honest that small government is the movement for Republicans because they don't want to give us no services. So this is about,
correct.
Let's look at it more specifically. This is about the NBA and the NFL donating to campaigns that literally are against black interests and poor people's interests.
Correct.
So I get what you're saying more generally, but we need to be honest about this reality. We need to be honest about what we're supporting and what we are into, because this isn't just about police brutality. Betsy DeVos is the Secretary of Education, and her family owns the Orlando Magic, and you let her watch them, even though she gonna change your school to a charter school, and then undermine everything that you've done in your community to make sure that black kids all across the community get some level of education. What does that mean about you, not her? What does that mean? What do you need to change about you? Go ahead, caller.
It means that, one, we're not paying attention, but we also believe that there's a version of justice where we can just consume it as a product, and that's not how that works.
No, it don't.
That's just not how that works. It has never been how that works. Matter of fact, the reason why you can do that is because they want you to do that. Bottom line. I mean, it's like standing in the grocery aisle and you go to the cereal aisle and you see all these versions of different cereal. You're like, oh man, I got all these choices of cereal. And it's like, no, you don't. You got three. You got Kellogg's, Post, and General Mills.
Tell them.
You think you got choices, but you do not. You have gotten options that have been given to you.
So let's look at this. Let's look at that in terms of black males. You got a choice between unemployment, Uber, and prison.
There you go.
That's what's going on from the numbers. But then they give us a study. Then they give us a study done by a conservative think tank that has no data to undergird it, saying that 2.5 million black males are in the upper class. That don't sound no different than the NBA and the NFL. So if this is a propaganda tool, we all got a problem because we all watch it a little bit, and some of us watch it a lot doing fantasy football leagues. Caller, thank you so much for calling in. I want to take more callers. This is a hot show. We here, Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. I appreciate everybody taking a Friday and being here. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Hey, how you doing, brother? My name is Mudiwa Mugabe. I'm calling from a small town in the South. You might have heard of it before. It's called South Central Los Angeles.
Okay.
Now, I said that to say this. I've been following your program for a while now, brother, and you're directly on point. What I say is this: we can't blame white media, white interests, or white groups for something that we willfully chose to do. What we willfully chose to do is make our celebrities, our athletes, and our entertainers our spokespeople. And this all began shortly after Muhammad Ali. We ran away from the people that should be our spokespeople, and we started embracing athletes and entertainers as our spokespeople, and the powers that be ran with it. And I said that to say this: hypothetically speaking, if you as an attorney, if Benjamin Crump as an attorney, if Malik Shabazz as an attorney did a press conference tomorrow to speak about the legal condition of black folks in America, it would fall on deaf ears. But if if
LeBron opened a school. No, just say LeBron opened a school for multicultural people.
If LeBron opens a multicultural school, it's going to be blasted all over social media worldwide. So what we've done as a people is we've allowed celebrity to be our spokespeople, and we've allowed the clergy to be our spokespeople. We stopped allowing intelligent people to be our spokespeople, and that's one of our huge problems that we have as a people, man. And until we get back to understanding that it's going to take the attorneys, the businessmen, the politicians, the statisticians, the economists. Those are our spokespeople, not somebody that from a corporate entity such as whomever, the NFL, the NBA, NBC. And those are not our spokespeople because they have a fiduciary obligation to the people that give them their goddamn check. And we have to understand that. And until we get to that point and we buckle down and realize that the intelligent people in our community are probably not the most popular people in our community, but those are the voices that need to be heard. We are always going to be marginalized in this system of the media that exists today in America.
Caller, let me say this. I appreciate you calling in. This is Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. Anybody want to voice their opinion, 323-230-4610. I agree with you almost all. But the part that I got to push back on is willful. I don't know how much willfulness a population that's been propagandized this way really has. I think that a lot of these people don't really know that they're propagandized. They don't even like basketball. They just like that these people make a lot of money. You know, it's funny because we use the word groupie when we talk about the women that follow basketball players. Well, white people got groupies for stock trading because groupies just like happy people. It's not about basketball or football. How many people really want to be with somebody that tackle people to the ground? Versus how many people want to be with people that have money? And I'm just saying to you, I don't know if it's willful. I'm not saying that they don't have choice to go to the stadium. I'm not saying they don't have choice to turn on the TV because I'm agreeing with you on that point. I just think that we don't understand the level these people are playing on. When you put out a study that says 2.5 million black men are upper class, funded by a conservative think tank, and then put it in certain venues to circulate. They have put millions of dollars on how to play a population like this, a population that descends out of slavery and Jim Crow into a visual of what they want, not what they are. You see what my point is?
Absolutely. I agree with you, brother.
Any last thing you want to say to the audience?
Yeah, I just want to say, man, brother, keep that jab out there on them. You're doing an excellent job. I was just on social media today advocating for your work, advocating for the things that you and Yvette are promoting, debunking that CNN report about the 2.5 million black men. We've been bombarded with propagandized information, and it's as you say, and as the intelligent people in our community say, that's used to desensitize us toward our real plight. And man, keep up the good work, keep putting that jab out there, man, and you got my full support, brother. Once again, Mudiwa Mugabe, Los Angeles, California. Keep it out there, bruh.
Thank you. Shout out to LA. So look, we're going to take another caller. We're going to get this going. I'm going to hit the next caller with a hard question. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Katrina Little from Virginia.
Oh, man. I love it when the ladies call in. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the sisters. Because it's late on the sun, especially when you're on the East Coast. It's 10 o'clock. Look, I'm going to ask you a hard question. If what I'm saying is true, if it's true, and this is propaganda, we look at who owns the Cleveland Cavaliers, Gilbert or whatever, you look at some of his actions in Detroit, it might as well be Republican. If what I'm saying is true and LeBron played for him and we was rooting him for LeBron because we love LeBron, if LeBron is propaganda, should we be watching LeBron?
I don't think so. But I think it's everyone's fault. I think ultimately, we're a cash cow, and I think everyone knows that. So I don't understand why we continue to think that everyone is just going to just give us whatever. We always want to say we want the owners and everyone else to do something differently. But what are we doing? We're still turning on the TV. We're still watching it. We're still allowing the players are still going to do what they do, because why should they stop doing what they do and not get paid for us to continue to do what we do? So we're a cash cow, and until we recognize that it is up to us to do something about it and stop complaining and saying that it's everybody else's fault, I mean, of course, who's going to just willingly give back, just go ahead and do it?
And this is the problem, is that I think the players, the owners, they do it in a disingenuous way. You know, I remember there was a whole article that I read about the NFL and CTE. When the first thing broke, the commissioner brought down a bunch of mothers and had a little meeting about CTE, but it was like angled in a way where it's like, this is good for your children. Their propaganda is so strong that I don't think they give people a straight up like evaluation. I think that to say that is not to be honest about the way that the NBA and the NFL angle around like the black need for aspiration and an escape, quote unquote, but they frame it like it's a good thing. So I see your point, but I come back to how much is this willfully? Anything you want to say on the whole conversation?
I just wanted to say just quickly, I understand that, but we are an intelligent people. So we have talk shows like you that are giving us the information, because mainstream media and what they're telling us, we know they're lying to us. So that's where it takes us to listen to other radio stations and things that is going to be separate of what they're telling us. We know the truth, but we're just choosing to believe what they're telling us.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate that point. Look, I'm going to take another caller. I'm just trying to give everybody a chance to give their voice. Thank you so much for giving your opinion.
I understand. Thank you.
Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? So look, this is the thing. This is a powerful, powerful show. Everybody's going to have an opinion. Mine, of course, is in the Decadent Veil, the article. I believe that black males, the level of incarceration, unemployment, lack of inheritance has basically neutered them in some ways. And so, like, as a result, black males are largely collapsed economically, and they themselves don't even know it. So how could the rest of the world know it? Especially when you're propagandized with fantasy leagues, and now with the Instagram and the shade room, you can see inside Russell Westbrook's house. And so everybody thinks this thing is just moving along just okay. When in reality, we are under boot to neck in a way that probably is worse economically than the 60s. Let's talk about it. I just gave y'all the data. We talking about 40% unemployment. We talk about more incarcerated black males than all women globally that descend from slavery. There's only 11 million adult black males. There's 4 billion women globally with a B. That makes no sense. I don't care what data, numbers, type of society you try to do to make it make sense. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Tom, this is Mike calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Give me your take on this whole topic, man, Mike. I'm going to let the floor is open for you.
Well, first of all, Tone, I want to say I met you in Yvette in Kentucky, as well as the caller from Illinois. And glad meeting you and listening to you and Yvette and Dr. Cosby out there in Louisville, Kentucky. So, my take on this is that, normally when I'm speaking to people about this data that you've been bringing up for the past year now, I say let's look inwardly. Let's look at your family. Let's look at your dad, your uncle, your brother, your cousins. Let's look and see, are they in prison? Are they employed? Are they underemployed? And then say, okay, well, let's look at your family. Do you have any familial wealth in your family? And most of the time, almost all of the time, the data supports what you've been putting out. The middle black family, $1,700, uncles, brothers, cousins, dads in prison or underemployed. I don't understand how people are saying that the NBA, the NFL, that there are rich black men out there when you can turn around and look in your family and there's no rich black men.
Yeah, and that's the cover up. This is one of, in my belief, when I look at things, because of the pure amount of distribution. You go to cover of yahoo.com at any given moment, they got 3 or 4 stories about how much an NBA player signed for. We always got to find out how much they signed for. You telling me that's not part of propaganda? We can't find out about incarcerated black males. That's like rarely ever in the news. But like when the prison boycott, they had like a food boycott or something of the sort, maybe a few months ago. They didn't even cover that in the news. But the money that's poured into pushing down our throat, the idea that black people have money, and LeBron opened a school. That school was for like 50 people, 100 people, and it was multicultural. It wasn't black focused. And it was run by white people. It's not really LeBron's school, like in terms of, they're not reading Stokely Carmichael in that school. They are basically a multicultural school headed by a black man that is signed with Nike and signed with the NBA. That makes you feel good, that's fine. That's not transformative. Caller, any last thing you want to say?
And Tom, what you're saying on the subject about what they're reading in school, you have to remember a lot of these athletes, they're basically taken away from black America.
Agreed.
They're incubated. They're put into a situation where they don't have to think about being black. All they hold on.
I want to make sure everybody heard what you said. The black athletes that you guys are thinking are going to actually represent you are not raised like Ali was as a boxer. Ali was a boxer in Louisville. Understand, Dr. Kevin Cosby, the man that I bring on the phone, he did Ali's eulogy. Ali used to be running around the streets in the black neighborhood. These athletes are different. They are incubated, is what the caller said. Take these, especially the basketball stars, taking out of the black community in large sense, made apolitical, and then proposed as a representative of black people. But finish your point.
No, so you finished it exactly what I was going to say. And then they're fed back to us as they're a representative of black people. When, no, they're not.
I have to agree.
They're not a representation.
Thank you so much for calling in. Brother. Thank you. So look, this has been a great show. I didn't get to everybody. The phone lines is lit. I can't get to everybody. I hope you can call back next week. But let's share this video. ToneTalks.org to subscribe and donate. Please come back Fridays, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Dash Radio, Dash Talk X. I'll see y'all next week. Thank you for tuning in to Tone Talks.